Hello, and welcome to the Digital Workspace Works podcast. I'm Ryan Purvis, your host, supported by our producer Heather Bicknell. In this series, you'll hear stories and opinions from experts in the field, stories from the front lines, the problems they face and how they solve them, the areas they focused on from technology, people and processes, to the approaches they took that will help you to get to the scripts for the digital workspace inner workings.
Good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks. Not too bad. I'm having some fun. I'm trying to sell my MacBook Air because I no longer need it because I've got a MacBook Pro. And I put it on Facebook Marketplace. I think we discussed previous episodes about that's the only use I use it. And I've almost been it's almost comical rather than gobsmacked. That's what I was going to say. And how many fake buyers there are that come there and they pretend transfer the money to you using Monzo, Tide, any of these sort of online banks that we have here in the UK. And then they send you a fake proof of payment. And I mean, the content's sophisticated to the point that it says they'll hold the money in escrow for you, in inverted commas, until you send them the tracking code and you post the device to them. But they've used a Gmail account as the account they've sent the email from. And it's like, and the text is wrong and all this stuff. And I've literally said to the guy, I mean, if you're going to fake the stuff, at least do it properly. like, you know, I mean, you just wasted like half an hour of my time going backwards and forwards, answering all your questions, blah, 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 blah. You know, are you real or not? That's how I'm starting these questions. So I'm just going to pull it off here and just, I don't know, find another way to sell it. Going to just be so vigilant.
That's crazy. Facebook Marketplace only that's semi-local, right? Like it only shows your ad to people in an area. Is that right? I haven't used it.
Yeah, that's the idea. Is that you like I'm in my area a member of a few groups that we post stuff to and look at stuff, and in theory the people you're speaking to would be nearby. But it's interesting because if I were in like I sold the lawnmower the other day, it either was people in my area or friends that I knew that came back and said, oh, yeah, I'll pick it up from you, that sort of thing. But since I put on a laptop, I've had people from Birmingham, from Leeds, from Canada, and it's like...
Canada?
all of a sudden it's suspicious. And why would you, and I said to them, why would you buy a laptop from the UK in Canada if it's 15% cheaper in the US because of the taxes? It doesn't make any sense to. So yeah, it's an education, like most of these things are.
Yeah, I wonder just if part of that is being in London. Well, no, I think you're right. It's the MacBook. It's that people troll for that kind of technology, I guess.
Yeah, well, it was quite funny because when I was thinking where I was going to sell it, I thought, well, I'll probably put it on there, but I'm going to expect to see a lot of nonsense, and I've had a lot of nonsense.
That's too bad. I was going to ask if you have the app next door in the UK.
We do. I actually turned it off because I found it very noisy. But that's actually not a bad shout. Try that out.
It just has that like local selling, but probably less people targeting it for malicious buying. Plus, I think that one will only show, like, I don't know if anyone can search the marketplace. So you might run into similar things there, but could be worth a shot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my other option is I'll just go to an Apple reseller or an Apple store and just trade it in and get something else. Which is what I want to do anyway. So,
what would you get? What would you get next? Yeah.
I'm very keen to get a iPad Mini, the new one, because I've had an old one for years. I mean, I think it's an iPad Mini 2 or a 3 that I only read Kindle books on, because you pretty much can't do anything else on it. It's too slow. Like if I have like an idea to write a task down, it's almost quicker to walk downstairs and get my phone and add the task than it is to load up reminders, the app, on that phone, on that iPad. It's that slow. So for ages I've been looking at the iPad Mini, but it's depending what you're spending, it's maybe 400 and 700 pounds. I could buy a Kindle for probably 200 pounds. But what I've been thinking about is I use now that there's been some changes in the recent release of the iOS and the OS, where you can have my iPad next to me like it is now. I'm on the phone with you on my iPad, and I can be on my Mac, and I can literally just take the mouse and scroll all the way across to the left onto my iPad, and I can do something on my iPad and come all the way back. And I never thought I'd actually use that, but I use that a lot. So I'll have like my Apple Notes open, and I'll be typing away. But now I haven't got my keyboard on my iPad at the moment. It's just on my normal reading cover. And I'm looking at my notes on my iPad, and I just want to make a note change. And before, I'd have to like open the notes back on my Mac, and now I can just make the edits straight there on my iPad, and they're all in sync anyway. So it's just about making it easy. And if I really need a second screen, which sometimes happens, like if I'm sitting downstairs in the dining room, like I am now, I can just connect my iPad to be the second screen, and that just works. But then the challenge is I'm trying to use my iPad to take notes, but I can't take notes on it if I'm using it as a second screen. So the iPad Mini is at that stage, maturity-wise, where I can use that to take quick notes with my pencil, or draw something quickly, and that's why I'm interested in doing it. Because so my other problem is my iPad Mini 3, for some reason, the Kindle app no longer works. So if I launch it, it just dies. So I've been reading with my iPad Pro in bed, and it's painful because it's I won't say it's double the size, but it's just bigger. And I've noticed that just having it, just the length of reading is that much longer, that you get tired more quickly, and the weight is just that heavier that your wrist gets sore. So that's the other reason, is I want to get back to a nice, small, neat little device, and then my kids can have the iPads, and they've got their YouTube and Netflix and Amazon Prime playing device, which also helps.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you figured out a few different uses for it, so justified. Sounds like it's justified.
Well, normally before I make a purchase, I really like hold off for at least a month or two. So like when I was ready to buy it 3 months ago, like I was literally running around Johannesburg trying to find one, but they because of the chip shortage and being South Africa, there were huge delays, so I couldn't buy it. And I was like, okay, well, that's fine. Then I'll just wait till I get back to the UK, and if I still want it, then I'll get it. Now we're back, and I've waited another month, and I keep coming back to, I really wish I had it. If I had it, I could do this thing. Now I'm back to exam pads and moleskins and diaries and stuff. And I'm just finding that so frustrating, because you write something in a diary, and then you can't remember which diary you put it in, because I have a few of them all over the house because of where I'm working. And then also my handwriting on paper, I can't type next to it to say what to clean it up. Or like if I use Scribble cleans it up for me quite nicely. And it's those things that just bug me now. So it's that's my plan, is to get the iPad Mini, And then my next plan after that is to get an Oculus headset. And then I think I'll have all my gadgets for the year.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Do you have a plan for how you'll use the Oculus?
So initially it'll just be exploratory, but I would like to try and get someone else who's got an Oculus to try and see if we can do some sort of face-to-face call or avatar to avatar call. I think that would be really cool. Or some sort of collaboration thing. I think that's something that I want to see how far away with off-the-shelf software we are from that. But other than that, I just want to get my head into it, see what it's like, just explore it as a thing. And I think it's one of those technologies that once you've got it, you can start seeing more uses for it. But at the moment, most of my thoughts about it are based on my opinion on what I think you could do with it, and I want to change that up a bit.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. You don't really know until you experience it, which I think is something that folks in the VR space have been saying for quite a while. Anyway, that once you experiencing it is believing it, right? So,
yeah, exactly.
Well, you had sent some, it seems like Airbnb is getting some positive press for their approach to hybrid work. Did you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so they had 5 bullet points. Let me bring them up quickly, which I think are whoever's done this, however they come, but have done it in such a positive way. And it's basically giving employees, I mean, if I had to sum it up my interpretation, pretty much freedom to be adults. So the first point is you can work from home or the office. Second point is you can move anywhere in the country you work in and your compensation won't change. You have the flexibility to travel and work around the world. We'll meet up regularly for gatherings. We'll continue to work in a highly coordinated way. So, those are the 5 bullet points. I'm quite lucky where I am. I mean, we pretty much work this way anyway. But to go out and publicly say that, I think will from a perception point of view, will get them a lot of focus and attention, which it has. I mean, obviously this has been on LinkedIn and this article's come up again and again in various places. So I don't know what you think on those 5 bullet points.
Yeah, in a way it seems very common sense, or like none of these ideas are wholly new. It's just, I think why they're getting attention now is, you're right, they've put this out there publicly and have kind of drawn that line, because I think there's certainly companies operating this way, but the question is, will they continue to operate this way, or will things change? Or there's still, a lot of organizations I think are still sorting through what some of these will look like, right? Even, I guess the one that strikes me is that you can move anywhere in the country you work in and your compensation won't change, because that's been something that we've seen discussed as well, especially, firms in large cities saying, yeah, you can go move out to the country, but we're going to drop your salary as a result. So, but I think in decoupling those things seems like the way of the future.
Yeah, so the there was a company here, a law firm, in fact, that said they were going to take, for employees that work from home, they were going to take 20% off their salaries. Now, there's always been a loading, supposedly, if you work in London, that adds 20% to your base salary because it's so expensive to commute to and blah, 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 blah. I think from a morale point of view, that'll kill an already, I would say dubious business, but these are people that are billing by the hour. Starting salaries are pretty high as it is, and you're going to take away 20% of a large number. They'll go somewhere else. and I think that'll decimate that business. And I think that's what this comes down to in a lot of respect. You're paying people not where they live and where they actually work. You're paying them for knowledge and skills, and I think that's what it should be about. So I think this is great. I mean, it was funny. I mean, one of my staff members today was telling a story about how she was talking to one of our new starters, and the new starter was asking if she's going to come to Bangalore anytime soon. And she said, "Oh, I'm actually coming next week." And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Are you just going to work from there?" She goes, "Yeah." Like, okay, fine, no problem. It would have been nice to sort of know, but to be fair, I don't really care, because she does her work. She's all about results, and she's originally from there, so you probably assume that she'll have the infrastructure, all the setup there anyway. Now the thing you got to watch for with this sort of stuff, and this is what they sort of say as the fifth bullet point, is we'll still work in a coordinated way. So sure, if you want to work if you would like this lady's going from Europe to India, if you want to do that, that's fine. But then your work doesn't suffer. I mean, we did this a lot in South Africa. We would go away down to the coast, or we'd go to the bush, and I would work to the point of getting my work done, and then we'd enjoy where we were. And I think that's perfectly fine. I think that's what they're saying here, which I think is pretty mature.
Yeah, I think that is key. And yeah, I mean, it is, the flexibility to travel and work around the world. It's, the nice part of that is that in the traditional work model, right, you work until you're 65 or however old, and then you retire, and then that's your chance to travel around the world. So how many people don't make it to 65, or have health problems by the time they're that age, or just would have enjoyed it more if they could have done it when they were younger, or at least spread out some of this travel time, right, so they could travel to more places. So I think flipping those things around it makes sense from you have one life to live. Spend time doing things you enjoy, even though you're in your working life period, which is, the largest time chunk of your life.
Yeah, well, that's what, I mean, if you read the 4-Hour Workweek, that's what it was all about, mini retirements, and getting out and doing those things. And you're right. I mean, a lot of people, you're almost conditioned that you've got to work your whole life and then go on and then use your retirement to go on vacation. And if you read any of the press at the moment here in the UK, there's a huge thing about cost of living, and people are saying that their pensions won't be enough when they get older if the costs keep going that route. And that is one of your challenges, is you need to honestly save. Now, we talked about some of the products that are available, and nowadays you can find many ways to save and to invest, all the rest of it. But at the same token, your investment should be also in using your income or wealth, whatever, to get your experiences done, because you don't know how much longer you've got. And that's what the pandemic, I think, has to a large extent pushed people to do, to maximize their time.
Yeah, I think it was a wake-up call, for sure. Maybe just back on the compensation not changing and the ability to move anywhere at that point. What interests me there is the potential for that to kind of restructure cities and towns. And there's kind of two consequences of this, right? So if you're making like a London salary and you go move out to a small town, and all the people from London who are making, huge salaries move out and their salaries stay the same and they can live somewhere more rural, does that push out, does that, raise the price of homes? Does that push people out of that community? Or on the flip side, or kind of a different view of that, are there places like, there are a lot of, towns in the US where it was like a coal mining town, or, there was an industry there that's gone away, or people have, steadily lost jobs in that area. But there's not really anything else to revitalize the economy there. And that's where some cities have been incentivizing remote workers to come and, use their money in that local economy to see if that would help revitalize it. So I don't know, just interesting to think about the, if you don't change the salary to adjust to where you live, how that could change the landscape of those areas.
Yeah. Well, we've seen it here. What's the area? I think it's Cornwall. Even before the pandemic, it was quite a heavy drive to bring fiber to the house there, or and invest in connectivity to make it appealing for people to come and live there. I mean, people in Cornwall normally go there for this sort of summer season because it's quite pretty and it's got good beaches and good restaurants and all that sort of stuff. But then after that, when the weather's bad and gets into winter, then it's only the residents. And it's not to say there aren't a lot of people living there, but the biggest problem they have is connectivity. Now, I think what you're saying actually did happen, and I know it happened in the UK because it's going on at the moment. There are a lot of people buying houses, and usually when you sell a house, and I say usually, you can negotiate down on the price when you're buying. Not at the moment. Now people are getting much more than what they're asking for because it's a bidding war, and there's such a shortfall of stock, especially in the 3-bedroom range, because that's what most people are looking for. Because of what happened during the pandemic and getting out of London and also now having this ability to work from home and to not be in the office every day, they want to have the space. In fact, I've got a friend, we were talking about this last week, and I mean, he lives right in the center of London, and yes, he likes it because he can walk to work, and he likes it because he's, got the London vibe, but he's scared of another lockdown. And even if it's not in the next year or two, or there'll be some other disease that'll come along or some other thing, and he wants the space because it's 2 of them and a dog, and he didn't want to get in, and he lives in an apartment. And he had some good points about being close to the office and talking face to face and all those things. And I said to him, well, you can still get that. You just commute an hour each way instead of or 2 hours each way. You just don't do it every day. That's the difference. And I have a very nice lifestyle where I live because we set up routine-wise to do certain things because now we have the time, because we're not trying to catch a train every early in the morning and get home for dinner and bath time and all that sort of stuff. Our kids see us and all that kind of stuff. So, it'd be very hard to trade that sort of thing up for a new role where you have to be in the office 5 days a week, or you're forced into an office.
Yeah, I mean, it ultimately takes up more time. It turns the 40-hour work week and adds, another 10 hours of commute time on top. So that's pretty significant.
Well, I mean, that's what my wife and I are discussing. I mean, you could sit, if you get on a train, you could sit and work there. Yes, there's Wi-Fi, you've got connectivity, you've got a laptop, you can do your stuff. But you're still stressing about getting to the station, getting your ticket, getting on board. That's decisions you're making that fatigue you. Then you're on your way in. Then you're going to navigate London. So you're losing all this time to get to a meeting for an hour, for someone to talk to you face to face because they want to meet you face to face. Now, I'm not saying there's no value in that, but if that's all the reason you're going in, now you're going to come all the way back out again. That's another hour and a bit to come back, and it just doesn't feel worth it in some sense. Unless now you want to try to stack your day with as many things as you can in a row to make that time valuable.
Yeah.
And I just, I find it bizarre that there are people pushing for it. And the technology makes it doesn't solve all the problems, but it solves so many problems that the problem of not doing face to face is almost, in some respects, less important because you get so many other benefits.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. We keep seeing productivity go up and up, and a lot of that is due to technology. I mean, shared files, cloud docs, personal computers. It's efficient.
Yeah, well, exactly. So I do need to run, but if you look at, I was thinking about it now, like if I wanted to play, when I first moved in, I wanted to play sport. I had to play sport right next to where I either commuted to or right next to where I lived, because there was no time to go further than that. It had to be within walking distance and all that sort of stuff, which limits your options dramatically. Because we're at home all the time, and I'm not saying working at home is the only option. I mean, you can work in a satellite office that's near your house and commuting all the way to a central location, or you could do one of these shared working spaces or whatever it is, if you don't want to work from home per se. But because you're not commuting and wasting a lot of time commuting and getting very far from where your life is, you can actually start investing in your communities. And this is what you were saying in another way. My cousin lives down the road. He goes for a beer at the same pub every Thursday. Okay, fair enough. He works in the area and all the rest of it. But, the houses we've lived in the UK, the 10 years, we've never built any relationships in our community because we've always been in London. Mm. And when you come home, then what you do is you basically, on the weekends, you get out of where you live to go and explore. So you actually have nothing in that area that holds you in there. But now, because you're spending so much time in your home area, you start having friends, you start having social circles, your kids start, if you've got kids, they start getting involved in stuff. It makes it more fulfilling in a lot of respects. Sorry, I need to finish on that thought because I am now 5 minutes late.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Over. Well, that was good to catch up.
Yeah. Take care.
Talk to you later.
Bye, Ryan.
Cheers, bye.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. Heather Bicknell is our producer and editor. Thank you, Heather, for your hard work on this episode. Please subscribe to the series and rate us on iTunes or the Google Play Store. Follow us on Twitter @the DWW Podcast. The show notes and transcripts will be available on the website www.digitalworkspace.works. Please also visit our website www.digitalworkspace.works and subscribe to our newsletter. And lastly, if you found this episode useful, please share with your friends or colleagues.